Hey everyone, my name's Logan and I'm the creator of SoundStage. I've just released update number 4. There's lots of changes and modifications and we're going to go into them, or at least as many as I can remember. Before we do, if you're enjoying SoundStage, please leave a review on Steam. It's the best way to keep indie devs like myself going. Now, let's get in there. This is the new opening scene for SoundStage. There are a lot more examples here sorted into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We can choose one, and you can even see we have new instruments like the basic looper having their own demonstration. Watch this when I hit load. Whoa! So there is a very simple examples now. We'll load up another one. Whoa! And you can see the new tape thing there. We'll cover that in a second. So those are different examples. If you ever want to hide them, it'll auto hide when you say new, or you can just toggle hide examples. So you can see we have 3 new instruments: a filter, noise, and the looper. And we'll get to those, but first I want to show you some modifications to the original instruments. So first up, new mixer. When you grab the mixer, it now doubles as a fader. So if you grab 2 instruments, do a sine wave and a triangle wave, and I plug them into different sides here, I can now fade between those 2 different signals. So you now have a fader, or you can put them on 2 different channels if you want, and you can make this as long or as short as you want. Here's our new tape interface. It has the different categories here. You can scroll around them if you have too many to see at one spot. Let's look at our 909 drums. Here are all your different samples. You can still scroll with the sprocket, or you can grab one to sample. You can still touch the sample, but you can grab it and pull out to create a sample if you want, or let go. You can also grab this to move it. And if you just want to select, you always have the last selection over here. And let's say you want to have a whole group, that's fine. Just grab one, like say these acoustic instruments, hold it down and pull out, and you'll still get a good old-fashioned version of the last tape deck. We also have completely new samples. We have 808 drums, 909 drums, different acoustic instruments with pianos and strings and saxophones. We have crazy EDM sounds. We have various SFX, rock sounds, including rock drums, as well as some rock guitars, including a feedback loop. We still have custom recordings. And these are all built by Wreak Havoc, a totally awesome dude. He built Tommy Lee's drum kit of Doom, if you're a Motley Crue fan, and did a lot of awesome work on the Experience Music project, if you're ever in Seattle. I've also added direct tape insertion points in the drum. So if you just want to take a sample and put it directly in the drum, you can now do that if you don't want to plug in a sampler. You can still plug in a sampler with the pulse, or you can just take the output from the sample that's being played and put it into a reverb or whatever you'd like. The sequencer also accepts tapes now, so you can grab a tape and just put it directly in and trigger it that way. Pull that out. I've also increased the possible speed, so you still have 4/2, 1, half, quarter, but you now have all the way up to 16th. And you can also add swing to the step, and the swing can either go that way or that way. 50% just means it's a normal static beat. And let's say that you want to have this in sometimes, but you get sick of it. You can always mute that track from playing. And if you're asking where this is playing from, the outputs for the sample tapes are over here. So you still have a pulse if you want to use a pulse, or you can output the sample tapes from here, so if you want to plug it into, again, like a reverb or a filter. The xylo roll and the keyboard now have touch keys, and if you select them, they'll stay on. So you can make chords that way. You also have an arpeggiator on the xylo roll. So if you have more than one key selected, while you could just play all of them, you can also have them play sequentially, either down, up and down, up, or the order in which they were selected. And you can speed it up, or you can slow it. So you can use an oscillator, and now there's a default oscillator. There's actually 2, so you can combine them, detune them a little bit, change the mix between them. It obviously starts sounding pretty gross. You can also just do input, which was the standard before this update, and you can actually just put in a sample. So let's play a saxophone. So now it's playing that saxophone sample, so you don't have to go ahead and plug a bunch of stuff in. You can just switch the source. We also have noise and a filter. It's a great way to show them off together. Noise is just white noise, so it's a random signal, and it's a great way to demonstrate a filter which cuts out some of the signal. So right now you essentially have a lower part of your signal, a band part of your signal, and a high part of your signal. This mid part you can make wider or thinner by grabbing either of these pincers, and then you can grab this and move it around to sweep. And this would be called a bandpass filter. If you want lower filters,
just reach up here, toggle this one off, and you can either use both of them or go like this, and now you have a low pass filter. And if you want a high pass filter, you can go up here, and now you have a high pass filter, or you can do a notch filter, which basically means you have everything but the middle coming through. So that's your filter. The valve can now be controlled by this control port, so you can still use the dial, or you can use this as a way to modulate the amplitude. So say I have this loud oscillator here, well, I could play with the dial. I could also plug in, say, this LFO here and control the volume that way. So you see this wave is now controlling is essentially a gate for this valve. This is the last new instrument and my favorite new instrument. It's the looper. So it records 1 beat, 4 beats, 8 beats, 16 beats, or 32 beats. We'll just finish out 32 beats in a loop and then plays that back for you. And it's tied to the universal metronome as the sequencers are. So a sequencer and this will always stay in time together. So let's look at it with this keyboard. So I can plug this keyboard into the input so it'll record this. And when I press record, it's going to give me a countdown to get ready. 0, and now it's recording, so I can go, oh, hey, oh. And there it records, so now it's going to play that back. And if I want to layer on top of it, that's fine. I'll just hit record again. It's going to wait till it gets to the top, and I go. So now it's going to play all of those together. And if you want to save it, just hit the save, and it'll save in your recordings folder like the old recorder, but it'll also produce a tape that you can just use. So I can take a sampler and grab this tape, plug it in here, and you can see it keeps producing tapes. So here's my wonderful little recording I made.
All right, so that's update number 4. Any feedback is always appreciated. Really love your support. If you get a chance, please leave a Steam review, and look forward to hearing what you think. Thanks, guys.